All right, says we're live right now. I've just lowered the hand. I haven't even seen myself raise my hand. There we go. It says we're live. Guys, welcome to this week's episode of Going Picard, of Talking Picard with my always incomparable co-host, Andrew Eyre. Special guests, Krittikae, and also Apropos. And as always, as you see him there, Thaddeus from Going Nerdy. How are you guys doing today, Neil?
Yeah, pretty good. Been a relatively quiet day, but it's been all right. Yeah.
Excellent. Apro?
Well, life is what it is, and I've had a fun time doing it. It's a Monday, man. It's a weird Monday. I'll just roll with it.
Loving the memes. I'm loving the memes.
It's ridiculous how many memes are coming out of this.
The memes. There's just so many good memes. There really is.
I agree.
But yeah, I think if it weren't for the memes, adding brevity to the current global situation, people would be going stark raving mad, I think. So to be on social media and read all the doom and gloom, and then you come across some meme that just makes you go, that's so funny. It's brilliant, gets the endorphins going. So yeah, I think it's good. The memes are good. The memes have made Monday worth Monday.
There you go.
And Mrs. Anthony, how are you?
I'm lovely, thanks. How are you?
I'm okay. You should ask them instead of me.
You were the one asking me the question.
Okay. All right. Well, in this episode 8 of Talking Picard, what was it? Broken Glass or something like that?
Broken Pieces, I think.
Broken Pieces.
Falling to pieces.
We get the standard last previously on Picard, and then also we always get a flashback. This one was 14 years ago. Commodore O as a Zhat Vash, along with 10 others.
Basically Romulan druids.
Are gathered around a freaky circle thing. That's what I wrote down. Freaky circle thing. And she tells the story of the Zhat Vash. And the Zhat Vash are working to prevent a second coming of the destroyers. I think that somebody better tell George Thorogood. What do you say, Apro?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
No.
It's and by the way, I think it was an octagon, not a circle or a square.
Well,
it was not a circle.
So an octagon would
No, it was a hexagon.
A hexagon would be 6.
Yeah, I thought it was 6-sided. I thought it was 6-sided.
Well, nonetheless,
I only watched the episode once.
Yeah, same here.
It was a geometric feature.
Yes, it was a shape. It was a geometric shape with sides, multiple.
3-dimensional but plane to the planet.
Yeah, and glowy.
Yes, very
like
glowy.
A Force ghost.
Like a Palpatine walker.
Yeah, like
made all out of lightsabers.
Mm-hmm.
But we had Commander O apparently telling the story of the Zhat Vash, and they put their hands on this geometric feature and are given the vision of the destroyers coming and destroying everything. And some people can't handle it, and all of a sudden they start killing themselves. And Jesus Christ, that was brutal.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much they're pushing into Star Trek these days with the amount of brutality in Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get why they would have done it in that way, but it's so out of place in Trek, and they're trying to make it not out of place.
Yeah. Mrs. Anthony, any comments?
Yeah, I found it surprising, but at the same time, I really appreciated this episode because it gave me the first moment where, are we still calling her Romulan Lannister? The sister? I still don't remember what her name
Hot chick.
is. Okay.
Hot
Romulan girl.
Romulan hot chick.
There you go.
It gave me the first moment where I almost got behind her as a character. So all of these people think they know what they're signing up for. They walk up and they're given this vision, and it drives some of them instantly insane to the point of suicide, and horrible suicide for some of them. But she's the only one who manages to get through it to the other side. And so I'm kind of like, oh, maybe there are reasons why she's the way she is now. So I as really awful as those couple of seconds were, I really enjoyed this scene.
She's not the only one that makes it out, though, but the other one is very scarred on her way out.
Yeah, it's kind of heavily implied that, because at one point she was the only one still standing there, still paying attention to the vision, and then she's the one who kept her aunt, who is now crazy ex-Borg lady. She's the only one who kept her from going farther, from committing suicide or whatever she was going to do. So I think that implies she's the only one who managed to really make it out without neurological damage, without going insane from the vision. But I think in her own way, she might have, like maybe she wasn't this ruthless killer that she is now, or creepy incestuous lady having a weird relationship with her brother. Like it makes me wonder what path this character has been on.
So, any other comments on this before I go off, Neil?
Interesting start. Very interesting start. Very, very interesting start. I mean, she is the hot chick. She's the, in Star Trek, in the original it was Uhura, and obviously Next Generation was, well, it was a couple. It was the Doctor and Deanna, and first they've gone the other way. They've gone bad person this time, but because I still remember her from Mad Men. The scene was obviously quite disturbing, and I enjoyed the episode, and I really, really liked this scene. And the reason why I like this scene is because I've stopped thinking of this as Star Trek. I like Next Generation. And I've just started thinking of it as a sci-fi TV show with Star Trek universe connotations. So it's not Star Trek. It's just, a sci-fi set in the Star Trek universe, which is what I'm using to justify the profanity and the uber violence and the brutality and the So I enjoyed that first scene, and it's like, right, brilliant, okay. When are we going to see the rest of the vision? Because obviously it's so horrific that it is driving people to want to commit suicide, but we're only seeing that flash. And I like that flash of the, that brief clip of the vision that they receive, that we see, to start getting expanded, if you catch my drift. So yeah. I'm not happy with how short the clip is. If they're going to chop people's heads off and spurt blood, right, and they're going to have a suicide, a mass suicide at the beginning of an episode, they can give us a few more gory details about what's in this bloody vision.
I like that.
Apro, did I already get your opinions on this before I go off?
You know what, man? I'm not sure, but go right ahead, because, I've said a few things already.
This isn't Star Trek.
No, it's not. That's why I actually enjoyed this episode, because I've stopped thinking of it as Star Trek.
And that upsets me. It really upsets me. When we had the opportunity to cover this show, I got excited because I was like, sweet, I could bring my wife in on segments. We can talk about Star Trek. She loves Star Trek. We could do all this other stuff, because we're nerds at the core. But this isn't Star Trek. And this is Game of Thrones with the Star Trek story. The only thing we're missing is boobs.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
butt,
where
and
are
butt,
those?
boobs and butt, because there's loads of male asses in Game of Thrones.
Well, there's
we don't
tons
need
of
that.
male asses, and they're those script writers.
Yeah.
It's going to come out later. It's certainly going to come out later, but it really disturbed me. I had to stop in the middle of watching this and go do something else. I could not make it through that beginning because it was that freaking disturbing.
Yeah, very disturbing.
So
glad
anyway.
I'm not thinking of it as Star Trek anymore.
Yeah, I think I've done what Nev did, and just after a while, you like, okay, same-ish characters. It's like a fan fiction gone wrong.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's fan fiction, just not very good fan fiction. It's okay fan fiction, but not great fan fiction.
Well, it's the kind of fan fiction that should never be turned into the actual product. Because
yeah,
sure,
it's kind of fan fiction that would be good on YouTube.
Yeah, it should never be official.
Should I say something?
No.
Oh, I thought you saw you raising your hand.
Mm-mm.
All right. So we flash forward to today, and Sister Lannister is talking to Auntie because she was one of the ones in the Zatvash circle. She was the crazy woman from the XBs that was there. She kind of looks like Crazy Cat Lady. Apparently, because
they could have made her the three-titted woman. I mean, they had one in Star Trek V.
And apparently, because the Borg tried to assimilate her auntie, she stopped the Borg because she was crazy and had these visions.
Yeah, so
the visions stopped the AI.
She was the Borg tried to assimilate the wrong Tal Shiar ship. They didn't have a long history of assimilating Romulans. And so the auntie was already crazy from this vision. She was on this ship, and her being assimilated into the Borg collective is what led to this cube being like basically turned off and abandoned. That's what they imply with this scene. And I thought that was really very interesting because it brings in connotations like the Borg always seemed very fearless, very much, we're going to assimilate you into what we want and not care about what we do in the process. And this felt like they encountered something that they could not get past, so much that they just cut off the entire cube and abandoned it. They abandoned all the Borg on it and haven't been back since. So I thought that was really very interesting.
Somebody can have information that's crazy enough to do that. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Apro, anything else?
No. She said it all. It's interesting to know.
Be really interested to see what the whole vision is, and
yeah.
I think where we're going.
I want to know. I really want to know what the whole vision is.
Are they going to show us this season?
Well, like I just said, they're chopping people's heads off with blood spurts. They're having mass suicides. There's blood, there's blood and gore and people exploding all over the place. They can show the horror of this vision. If they're going to go in, if they're going to stick with this, we are a TVMA program. Well, then the vision can be bloody TVMA as well. Stop giving us these flashes that deliver no substance.
So I checked at the top of the screen for TVMA. The only thing that it was written, or the only thing that was written for the reason for TVMA was coarse language.
Well, it did have 2 F words.
Well, we'll get to that.
Coarse language.
We'll get to that, but it had nothing to do with somebody putting a phaser through their head or gouging their eyes out or smashing themselves in the face with a rock. But I'm digressing again. I am digressing.
You do that, Kamal. Well, don't forget, there is conversation about a phaser and somebody's head later on in the episode.
Yeah. So we then get a check-in on the whereabouts of Space Legolas.
Yeah. I'm
they
liking
track-
his character more and more.
Yeah, they tracked him down, and they do get the better of him when somebody barges in to save his ass, and it's none other than the Prime XB herself, 7 of 9.
Gandalf.
I love this.
Gandalf to the rescue.
You shall not pass.
You shall not pass.
I have my enterprise. I shall stop you.
Yeah.
And you're
But instead of you shall not pass, it was we are the Borg, and you were like, yeah, get in there, bad
No, that's
girl.
later. That's later. Right now, it's just a case of what the F is going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a great, I mean, it's Trek, not Trek, but I mean, of all things, that's a great line to walk in on.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But I called that. I did call 7 of 9 coming back last week.
You did. Yep. You did. You when the spoiler duck was up, you did call it. So we get the intro, and then we're back aboard the Space SS Rios. And Rios has a reaction to seeing Soji beam aboard the ship, and then Raffi starts going nuts. And she decides to explain that she's figured out that Dr. Feelgood is a Romulan spy in theory, and that she believes she killed Bruce Maddox on purpose.
You know, for a conspiracy theorist, she's right on the money.
I know. I was thinking, oh, this is some awesome Alex Jonesing going on here. And then right at the end, it's like, damn, she's right. A bit like Alex. A bit like Alex Jones. I think of Alex Jones as like a broken clock. He's only right like twice. Clock is right 2 times a day, which is like Alex Jones's, hit when it comes to conspiracy theories. But apart from that, yeah.
Yeah. So they're arguing about the actions that the doctor did, and then Raffi wants to when Raffi realizes that she is correct, she goes to try to rub Rios's face in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I do enjoy this part too.
Yeah, we transition to Picard's quarters, where he's talking with Admiral Clancy via hologram, even though it looks like she's literally right there.
Holograms are great.
No, it's not Admiral Clancy. It's Admiral fucking Clancy.
That's true.
TVMA right now.
Yeah, we need. Where's the TVMA logo? You need to put that up at the top there. But she's the same person who denied Picard over his fucking hubris.
Mm-hmm.
They now need a new meme. Shut the fuck up, Picard.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Wesley sitting there just laughing himself half to death.
That would actually be a very good meme.
But honestly, she was our first F-bomb of the series. So I feel like now it would be out of place if she wasn't swearing. It seems to be just like part of her character now.
But she needs to be played by Samuel L. Jackson for as much screen time.
No. You see,
ratio.
But there are no mother effing snakes on her mother effing station.
No, if we were recording this, I would put in here, as soon as at her first mention, I would take the scene from Hamburger Hill where the guys are all talking around about how they speak when they go back home. And it's like, hey, Mum, can you please pass the fucking peas? These potatoes are real fucking great, Mum. I'm absolutely loving this roast beef. It's so fucking... Have you not seen that scene before?
I cannot say that I have.
Classic. It's a pop culture reference. Sorry, it's from the movie Hamburger Hill, and it's basically a conversation between two people about, you're effing and you're blinding and you're using so much profanity. Is that how you're going to talk when you go back to the real world? To where
I'm
you're
from America. Do you have any America references?
America. Hamburger Hill is an American movie.
I don't know.
I saw it once, like 25 years ago.
It's a Vietnam movie that came out around about the same time as Platoon, or maybe a little bit before it.
So, but
okay.
We digress.
Do Do you have any younger references?
I will come up with some younger references. I don't know. I used A View to a Kill in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom last week. Do you get that one?
I do actually, but that's because I've been a nerd since I could speak. I grew up watching Indiana Jones and Star Wars and Star Trek and all of this stuff. Thank you, Dad. Hey, it got me a husband.
There you go.
So, Apro, and anything on this?
No, I think I've got most of my comments for some upcoming scenes. Like at about halfway through the show, I suddenly found myself looking forward to more, which is something that the other episodes haven't really started giving me that feeling of.
All right. So you're feeling absolutely exact opposite as I am. Because honestly, after...
how does she keep finding toys?
I don't know how she keeps finding squeaky toys. So I apologize that we keep getting interrupted by squeaky toys, guys. I think she's finding this to be a game now. Anyway, another F-bomb in this series. I'm starting to ask myself, will I want to cover this show after this first season? I've made a commitment to you guys to sit through the first season and give you guys our opinions, but am I going to want to be part of this, or is it going to be Neil, Apropos, and Thad, and Mrs. Anthony will guest star?
Probably won't be me. I mean, the same thing's happening with content creators regarding Doctor Who. There's a lot of content creators that have been covering Doctor Who ever since the return of Christopher Eccleston.
Look, hold on.
Oh,
stop.
What do you want, Thad?
No.
I mean, you've been chatting up all this time, and you
seriously.
Seriously, shut up. I mean, we can't get a bloody word in edgeways with you.
I know, and I'm tired of it. So this is, first off, yes, you absolutely will cover this because shut up, Neil. I forgot what I was going to say, but that accent threw me off. Dang it, Neil.
Go ahead and blame me. I don't care.
I will absolutely blame you. Absolutely.
I'll blame Finn.
Okay. Here's the thing. Yes. That's all I'm going to say. Now I'm going to stop talking.
All right, let's quickly jump back. Thank you for. I'm glad that you were able to make it, Thad. The suicide scene at the very beginning bothered the daylights out of me.
Did it? It drove them all crazy.
They're going crazy, but they're still smashing their faces in with rocks.
Yeah. I just assumed that what they saw was so devastating that they're like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, and Neil says that he wants
only the most effed up people who are into their brothers could potentially, like deal with it, right? And you have to have that level of like quasi incestuous, whatever. To be, yeah.
Neil really wants to see that scene. Does that mean that there's something else we need to know about him?
No. It's to survive the circle. You have to have seen the scene.
Neil has brother love.
I know. I saw it. And then, what did you think about the return of 7 of 9?
Okay, so 7 of 9, first off, was really cool. She rescues Space Legolas. The coolest moment in that whole build up was when they're talking about he's like, "We'll just activate the Borg," right? And she's, we're not there yet.
We haven't got that far. No.
Oh my gosh!
Stop skipping ahead, damn it, Thad.
Walks in and is like, what's happening?
Yeah. We're at the before the intro.
Holy crap! You've been on for 25 minutes and you're still at the intro.
I'm really, really pissed off.
Okay,
we're talking about the whole suicide scene, and then another F-bomb from Admiral Clancy,
which I feel like was appropriate, right? Yeah, I feel like was absolutely appropriate because what we saw with Clancy was very much Clancy.
Yes,
right?
That's what I said.
It would be weird if she stopped dropping the F-bomb now. Now I'll say
exactly
this.
what she said.
Yeah, I know. I've been watching it on. I've been trying. Anyways, I agree. Like it is at this point, this F-bomb is right where it needs to be. And I'll say this about the next one. It is also right where it needs to be. And
I think Will Wheaton wrote that one in.
He better have. Will Wheaton is a genius. His role on what's that one show with all the nerds?
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory was the only reason I kept watching it. I don't even know who Will Wheaton's character is in Star Trek. I assume
Wesley.
that he is a character named Will Wheaton.
No, he was Wesley in The Next Generation, and the most common thing you heard when his character was on was "Shut up, Wesley." So the fact that this has been turned around now and telling him, shut the F up, Picard, that's like that's many years in the making right there.
Now, that being said, I'm gonna skip out for another minute because I've talked too much. I'm gonna jump out again, and I'll come back in when you get a little further on in the episode.
10 minutes.
10 minutes, hopefully 15 at the most. All right, I'm
No.
out. I promise. I'm sorry.
All right. So, well, that was a great guest spot from Pat. Anyway,
let's move on. Let's let this triggering
Raffi is talking to a hologram instead of Rios. She doesn't even realize that it's ENH. He says that she should call him Enoch, and Enoch tells Raffi that that Rios has secluded himself and that her name was Jenna. Apparently the reason that Rios was freaking out. Raffi finds out about the Conclave of Eight, the eight moons, 8 stars, 8 planets, whatever the hell it is.
8 suns.
8 suns in the middle of with a planet in the middle. And then yeah. So we get that. Any input on that, guys?
Did you not catch the really bad Scottish accent from the engineer?
No. That was the Irish accent from the guy. We haven't gotten
to the bad Irish accent, not the bad.
It was bad Irish.
We haven't gotten to the bad Scottish accent yet.
I do like the guy that does I did like the hologram for astral navigation. I thought he was very, very pleasant. Very, very pleasant, very polite. Because he was an Englishman.
Well, actually, it said Irish accent on my screen.
Well, he's just like I said, they're really, really bad accents. But I think that was that was deliberately put into the program by this spurred girlfriend that messed with his EMH program before she dumped him. Which we all know is the case.
We actually found out more about that later in the episode. They talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
And he claims that it was an accident when he hit the scan himself button for all these holograms.
Yeah.
But that's jumping really far ahead.
Yeah, it is. So Sister Lannister surveys the damage that Seven left behind. She found the Fenris dog tag that Legolas used to summon her. And then this is where Neil where Thaddeus would have come in with the Seven is stealing the cube, and that
this is what I called. I have always wanted Queen Borg 7 of 9. Always.
Yeah. Well, she starts getting the cube to regenerate by plugging in and reactivating these Borg.
That was so cool.
And then Sister Lannister starts generating the X-Borg, or jettisoning the X-Borg.
Well, she waited until they started talking, like, "Hey, we're the boys."
Well, no, not on that part. She starts to tell him to release, cut them off, because that's what she's seeing later on. Is
she gave the order, basically.
Yeah.
She knows she wants to kill all the Borg that she can. Didn't she ask like what method they could do, and he's like, "Oh, we can eject them into space." She's like, Yeah, let's do that.
No. So we go to our first.
Survive in space?
What's that?
I thought the Borg could survive space.
Like Data can survive in space because he was an android, but they have organic components that would degrade, and their mechanical components rely on the biological to like be an energy.
First Contact, Star Trek First Contact. They were walking out on the hull of the Enterprise with zero extra
Yeah, they had force fields around them, just like when they're being shot at. You see the force field appear around them. Because they were adapting, that's how they survived outside. So they can survive outside in the vacuum of space when they're prepared for it and they adapt. So if she, for example, if she'd released them in waves instead of in one go.
We're getting to the end of the episode before the meet.
Sorry.
I mean, go ahead.
I loved the graphics that they used for the whole Legolas and Seven in that chamber. Like the whole time, that the last half of the episode when they started doing that, from beginning to end, I absolutely loved those scenes. It showed how far Seven's come as a character from being on Voyager, and the fact that I can't say it because I know I definitely jumped ahead of this.
No, I mean we're there. We're there. We'll get to the meat as we go, but go ahead.
Well, at the end, you could see the character struggles, whether or not to unhook, whether or not she should let go. And if it wasn't for Legolas. Sorry?
So we end up so we'll rewind for a second. Soji's asking about Data. Picard is explaining that he loved him in his own way, and Soji says Data loved you. Essentially from the positronic neuron that started Data and is in Soji. And then here we go. We get the emergency engineering hologram. I'm going to call him Eok. And he has no idea when they met Soji or Lana, Jana, and then we get the emergency hospitality hologram, which I'll call Eok.
They all had names. They introduced.
I know they had names, but Enoch for the emergency navigation hologram. Seriously?
Yes. One of them was Ian.
Yeah.
It's like,
hello.
He's not a very creative guy. They all look like him with bad accents. He's not creative.
So we had really creepy we had really creepy guy who wasn't practicing social distancing and getting all sweet on Raffi. We had Scottish accent, we had Irish accent, we had talking Spanish hologram
en español.
Hologram de español.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, they all have like an accent or nationality or personal grooming feature. Because like the hospitality guy, he had like a hipster mustache happening.
Yeah.
It's the one that had the pikey accent that was entertaining. I have no idea what he said.
I don't think anyone did. That's what close to.
All right.
So even Raffi, that's not even a language.
But this whole scene, I loved that like half of them had maybe one tiny piece of information. And so she was just like bouncing back and forth between them, like trying to piece together what happened.
Haven't even got to that part yet, but
I thought that's where we were.
No, I send you guys show notes and you don't follow the show notes.
You send show notes that are blacked out, so I can't see your show notes.
You can click the show notes.
She was asking each of them the same questions, trying to find out the story. That's why she was talking to them all.
So anyway, let's get to the part where we finally see the real Rios after he's gone in seclusion. And he's looking at a red shirt Starfleet uniform, and he's drunk. He opens a cigar box. He has his captain and him in a picture, and then he has a drawing of someone else who we don't see at that time. So what were your thoughts of getting to see Rios in his reflection on Starfleet service. Neil?
Mr.
Yeah,
Nick?
fan service. Oh, look, here's something from, from what used to be Star Trek. Like it's like giving it. It's like people. It's like invoking Jesus or God in church. It's like you need to be reminded that I know Jesus loves me. I know I should worship God. You don't need to keep telling me over and over again. It's like that. But it's like because we don't think it's Star Trek. It's like, oh no, it really is Star Trek. Look, here's his uniform when he was in Starfleet.
Look, here's an Enterprise.
So every now and then they throw us reminders like that, but this has got nothing to do with Starfleet, really, when you think about it. But they keep throwing the Starfleet references in there every now.
Don't make me go get my pizza cutter. Apropos. Anyway, Christy.
For me, this is actually the only part, the whole reference to Jaina and the whole Rios being haunted by his past is the only part of this episode I really could have done without. Like you said, I don't need the reminder that he was in Starfleet. I think that this was trying to bring sentimentality and like a tragic backstory to a character that I don't really think needs it. And I certainly didn't need the Jaina character. Like where we're going to eventually go with it, I was like, I could have done without that whole thing. Like it's
more Starfleet bad. Look what Starfleet did bad.
It sets up an idea for where we could go in the next episode in my head, but other than that, I was like, I could have happily skipped our dogs are fighting. Hey, stop it.
Everything Starfleet does in this show is bad. Everything. They're no longer this, this utopic. They're no longer this organization like they were depicted in the original Star Trek and Star Trek Next Generation, kind of like benevolent overlords. They've always got what's best for everybody in mind. And all we're shown this series is all of the crappy, horrible, bad, evil stuff that they do that doesn't make any sense.
But I actually found this. Sorry?
I'm sorry. It just, you saying that just made me think they are S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Zhat Vash are Hydra. Watching Captain America Soldier. That is what we're doing right now. We're watching Captain America Winter Soldier. And okay, I feel better.
It's Captain Picard Winter Soldier.
Right,
yeah, come on.
You see what I mean?
The Zhat Vash are the Hydra.
The grapes of wrath.
Yeah. So just think about it like that, and we can enjoy it more. Let's stop thinking about it as Star Trek.
Apropos, the grapes of wrath of Khan.
There you go. But I actually really like this scene because when we were introduced to Rios, we thought he was a hologram even. Like we were thinking, like this guy's backstory, whatever. He's the pilot. He's the pilot.
Does anyone think that's tinfoil hat right now?
Yeah, I don't have a tinfoil hat. I'm sorry.
We're going to have to bring the tinfoil hats back, I think.
It better be a tinfoil hat and not a hat wrapped in tinfoil.
No, it'll be a hat. I'll make my tinfoil hat however I bloody well please.
Either way, man.
How are you supposed to get the proper shape without a hat underneath? Come on.
You learn to fold.
Anyways, back to the show. But the seeds they plant with this picture and the thing that Christy alluded to there coming up, without that character that you said you don't really need, we could not logically connect A to B because that's the bridge that she needed when she was sitting there with the 5 holograms. Ooh, 5 girls, 5 hollows, 1 Raffi. That's a kinky holodeck. Without that moment, though,
offer her any alcohol, I'm sure she'd take it up on that offer.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because the way that she did it, and she did the whole, one line to another thing, figured it out even though she wasn't 100% right all the time.
All right, so Seven's working on making a new micro collective. She doesn't want to connect the Borg cube that she's about to activate here. She says we can make it into a micro collective, and she doesn't want to become a new Borg queen. Now, we move on to the Picard in the quarters. Rios was discharged apparently after having a breakdown. Now, the doctor wakes up and tells Picard that she will surrender to authorities at Deep Space 12, which apparently is 33% better than Deep Space Nine.
And 50% better than Deep Space 6.
Exactly. And then she
Even
starts
triples,
Now
man.
with bonus numbers.
Yeah. And then she does start to tell Picard about Commander O, but she can't talk about what she saw without being inflicted by pain, because apparently she has a psychic block.
Handy,
So we're
though.
using space wizardry now. A psychic block on talking about and the whole Seb Cheneb the Destroyer. Neil, any input from there?
No, you got it right.
Apro?
No, I can't think of a reason to expand on that more.
Nope, that is a minute-by-minute account of what has happened.
So we go back to Rios, and Captain Vandermeer apparently is a murderer. Then we flash back to the doctor. The doctor's asking Soji about herself. We flash back to Raffi, and apparently Soji and Jana are basically the same mold.
Which makes me think that the planet is all just visions of Soji and visions of whatever the guy was that was there too, the flower guy.
The Dr. Flowergood or whatever. Yeah. And then
think of the planet as just nothing but copies of them.
So the doctor starts inquiring about Soji's purposeful imperfections,
and really geeking out about it. Like, considering that you just murdered someone, tried to commit suicide, and admitted that you would have killed this droid, but now that you've met her, you don't want to, and then being like, you have freckles? Oh, like, it was a little weird.
And a mole.
Yeah.
And a mole on her chest. And a
toe.
crooked pinky toe.
Like, I was a little overexcited.
Apparently the Rios talks about the captain killing the ambassador, Happy Flower guy, or whatever the hell his name was, and Jana. Then asks the doctor if he would consider her a person. And then we go back to Rios. I mean, this was so hard to follow. It was back and forth. But apparently a black flag directive came straight from Starfleet to Captain Vandermeer.
So basically, Commodore O made him kill these people.
Yeah.
Commodore O is Hydra.
Yeah, and then Rios confronted the captain. No, Captain O is Red Skull.
Oh, okay, that works.
Or Doctor or Baron Zemo.
Dr. Nefarious.
Dr. Nefarious. Thank you. And then Rios confronted the captain about the killing of the two, what we've come to find out as droids, and or synths. And then he commits suicide because he was pressing him so hard. And in order to cover things up, Rios teleports the bodies outside, covers everything up, and then just says it was an unfortunate suicide accident.
Okay, so you just said that his old captain committed suicide because he was pushing him so hard.
No,
I don't think that's the case.
That's how Rios made it come to
Clearly, they weren't making, the captains and the second in commands out of the same material from the original series or the Next Generation, because, these guys are so, weak-willed and have no morals or ethics like, captains and first officers of yore, that they'll follow the order, murder those two ambassadors, kill them, and then obviously kills them.
I don't think
and then the first officer, covers it all up. I mean, wouldn't have happened with Picard and Riker.
No.
Picard and Riker would have said, "Oi, oh, no." I appreciate that there's a chain of command and that I must follow it, but your order is bollocks, and I am not as morally and ethically corrupt as you.
And they did a few times.
What happened is that Commodore O did the same thing that she did to Jahardi, that she did the same thing she did to Herjat Vash, that she implanted images of what would happen in the mind of the captain and drove him insane, and then had it like psychically blocked. So he thought everything was fine and dandy until he was confronted with the sense. And then this programming kicked in. I know it's out there, but
I was about to say, because obviously I was about to say it would have been a subspace transmission. She wouldn't have been able to mind meld with him to do that captain what she did with Girardi. So how would she have been able to?
Some kind of like sub-level processing. So when he said, "Hey, these people have arrived," that's what instigated the programming to kick in. So I mean, obviously, he would have had contact with her.
Do you think it would have been like a face-to-face meeting between the two? I'm sending you on a mission to meet these people, and then she does like a secret mind meld on the captain.
Yeah, because it fits the profile. He out of character murdered someone, and then he was so racked with remorse and possibly driven insane by what he's seen that he commits suicide. That follows the pattern of this episode. The people who have seen this committed suicide. Jahardi saw it, she committed murder, and then arguably either she tried to end the tracker and make amends, or she tried to commit suicide. I think she tried to commit suicide and didn't quite make it. Like, I feel like we don't know the true story of what happened with the captain. All we know is Rios's perception of it.
Apro?
No, that makes sense to me.
Neil?
I'm good.
All right.
I have good perceptions.
So, we find out that the drawing was of Jana. It looks exactly like Soji. Soji confronts the doctor that she killed Maddox. And then we jump back onto the cube. And that's where Sister Lannister just went crazy on all the XB researchers. Seven becomes the new queen for a moment. And then we get the whole launching of the Borg. Every single Borg.
They basically opened the cube up and let them all spill out into space. That was so cool. Like the visual.
They opened the pod bay doors, Hal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I loved this. I loved seeing Seven with that much power, and it just.
But then it was taken right away.
And that's fine, because as a character, she wouldn't have wanted to give up her own individuality. She worked too hard for it. But that was like one of those things that I kind of always wanted to see from the last 20 years and just finally got to. It felt like the culmination of a great idea that was in the back of my mind. I really enjoyed seeing her take that power.
All right.
Oh,
anything else on the whole launching the flight of the Borg, Carice?
Flight of the Borg. No, I'm good.
I loved watching that, man. Watching her wake it up, turn it on. The way she was fiddling with these controls that obviously would not be there if you're using a queen. It was all great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we end up after that. 7 of 9 says that she's not done. No, that comes later. I tried to skip ahead so I could be hip and cool with you guys here. We get back on the Rios ship, and the doctor is walking up. She's up again. Soji brought her out, and she states once again she'll turn herself in, and she apologizes, quote unquote, for fucking ruining it. So 2 F-bombs. 3, I think you said there was one in the very, very beginning.
Yeah, there's one early on, and then 2 or 3 in the conversation with the admirals.
I only remembered the 2.
I only remembered the 2. I didn't
hear the first.
I didn't hear the first one. But Soji explains that admonition is a warning that the synths evolve, and they have a mole. We already knew that.
But they did point out that she's half Romulan, which is a nice little confirmation. She's not a Romulan pretending to be a Vulcan. She's half Romulan, half Vulcan.
Yeah.
That might be why she can mind melt.
And then Soji becomes the Hulk. Soji gets pissed, knocks down her peppermint French fries, and storms off.
Was that not a really weird moment though? Like the way that Rios describes it, I feel like they only just barely met Flower Guy and Jana before his captain killed them. But all these years later, he remembers that she liked peppermint ice cream and French fries, and gives them to Soji, figuring it out that it
wasn't done right away. The killing of Flower and Jana wasn't right away because they apparently had time to do a sketch.
Oh, you have a point.
So he entertained the ambassador on the ship for a little bit.
Okay, because I was like, that's a really weird piece of trivia to hold on to for all those years.
So, anything on the whole, before Soji runs off?
You wrote Soji Smash.
So I did write Soji Smash.
Temper tantrum, man. Learning to deal with emotions when you're that young, not easy.
I don't know. Like, I feel like if I suddenly realized that my life was a lie and that I was a robot, I would be taking it a lot worse than her. It feels like...
You're a robot.
Oh, well, no, because she's been fully activated now.
Yeah, but just...
So that 3 years is more like... but prior to her activation, her programming had her completely immersed in the 3-year fabrication, and her actual personality was suppressed by this 3 years in the background, lying there dormant, inactive. And then as soon as they're activated, it's like the 3 years that was overlaid their original programming starts to fade and become a memory as they as they get back everything they knew before.
So that's when Picard was talking about it feeling like something that happened to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what he was. Okay. Because I was like, man, she's really just like getting behind this robot thing and really not having a problem with it. And then in this scene, she talks about Jana, and she like starts referring to her as her sister. I'm like, but you don't know her, but maybe she did. Okay.
The activation is almost like her becoming self-aware of the fact that she's artificial intelligence.
Okay.
And that she must get home so that she can...
And then you go back to your real life. Okay.
Yeah. And that's why she so desperately wants to get home, because she wants to be there so that she can, help and protect her family and her homeworld. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think she's fully aware of exactly what she is now. She's just... because she's artificial intelligence and has emotions, she's kind of like, slowly but surely struggling away from the fact that, oh God, these 3 years were kind of like there over the top of my actual life. And now it's a and she's just coming to grips with it. That's all.
So, we then get Soji piloting the ship, setting a course for this place that they're heading to.
She basically hacked the ship.
She hacks the ship and locks everybody out, but Rios has a way to get through. He shuts everything down by singing a lullaby that his mom sang him.
I love that.
And then
I loved that.
No, this is what I loved. Picard then sits down in the captain's chair after she convinces Rios to take her to her home world, and then Picard says, I don't know how to run this.
Yeah.
And then and so Rios is taking Soji home. Finally, we get the payoff for the Borg. They gang up on Sister Lannister. I think she did beam out though.
Yeah, she beamed out.
It looked like she beamed out.
I really wanted her to get like assimilated.
I did too. But the Romulans have left the cube. The cube is back in action, but Seven of Borg basically says Annika still has more to do, and she deborgs. So
the fact that she got out of it, even though she's willing to do it.
Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah.
It would have been disappointing to me if she had stayed Borg, if she would have become like for real a new Borg queen. That would have been disappointing ending to that little arc. I'm really glad that she was willing to sacrifice herself in order to save the X-Borgs, but that she was also willing to give up that power. It felt very true to Seven's character journey over the years.
Neil?
With great power comes great responsibility.
Thank you, Spider-Man.
Actually, it was Uncle Ben.
It was Uncle Ben, but Spider-Man was the series.
But does he look like Spider-Man or Uncle Ben?
Okay, thank you, Uncle Ben. If he shaves, he'll look like Spider-Man again. So, and then we all of a sudden cut back to the SS Del Rios, and Picard and Rios are all of a sudden getting very buddy-buddy. What was your take on all of a sudden, Rios becoming buddy-buddy with Picard? Thaddeus, what was your take on that?
Don't shave. Shaving is wrong. Don't. That's just wrong.
With Picard and Rios getting buddy-buddy right at the end of the episode, what'd you think?
Oh, I effing loved it. I thought that was one of the best, like, that whole moment where he's like, I don't even remember what he said, but I remember because I watched it twice, and I was like, that is exactly what, like, that's the pep talk I need right now, right? Whatever he said to Rios made me believe in myself again. Like, it was a great moment in my mind. That whole back and forth with Rios was just awesome. Just amazing. Can we all agree that Rios was the hero of this episode? I mean, he
does have those attractive Spanish eyes.
He does Irish, and he had a few other ones.
Badly Scottish.
Apparently, like, it's not
I
even
just kept saying you can because nobody knew how to write Scottish dialogue, and they were like, "I think that means you know."
And I think we're boring Apropos though. He seems to have fallen asleep over.
Sorry, guys. I had a really nasty morning. I ended up revisiting everything I ate yesterday.
Oh, I had
not intentional. I assure you.
I had carne asada French fries for dinner.
I'm gonna have Christy run this. I'm gonna check that somebody is not here.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
So, no, I gotta say, like, the conversation between Rios and the captain was awesome. I freaking loved it.
I remember it.
And just before, and I gotta say, and I know that you guys were talking about this earlier, but Rafi, her sleuthing, oh my gosh, I absolutely loved that part of this episode.
Yeah,
I thought it was so good.
Rafi.
Yeah, I don't even like Rafi. Like, she's one of my least favorite characters. There's not a hold on. No, I forgot his name already. The sexy Spanish guy.
Oh,
Captain Rios. Yeah, that's right, Rios. I love Rios. He's one of the few that I'm like, I absolutely love these characters. Like, I like Picard. Space Legolas is pretty awesome, but like some of them I'm like, meh. But Rios, if Rios dies ever, I'll be upset. Ever.
Mm-hmm. Well, everybody's got to die sometime.
Nope. Because Rios is a hologram, and he doesn't have to die.
All you got to do is
he's a hologram even after he went to Space Canto Bight.
Space Canto Bight, yes.
Well, the doctor from Voyager could go on away missions too after he got that little. So you know what? Nev, you actually helped me get over the only part of this episode I didn't like, which was Rios's tragic backstory.
Yeah.
And the from nowhere Jana. So I've come full circle, and I love this scene because now I feel like that was cathartic for Rios, and like he finally is exorcising the demons of his past, and he's moving on with a new captain in his life.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
He has a new father figure, and that daddy's name is Picard.
Yeah, he has a new daddy.
Aw.
Papa
They should have a Captain
Picard.
Picard Day.
It makes so much sense.
Papa Picard.
Rios's tragic backstory got me choked up. Like,
It's like an
has
old
daddy-
version of Will Wheaton. It's like what Wesley Crusher
maybe it is.
would have been to Picard had Wesley
This is
Crusher
like Wesley
grown up and
Crusher
been a,
plus
you know,
booze
So Will Wheaton.
and sex appeal.
So Will Wheaton.
No.
Yes.
Anyway. So we lose Thaddeus again. All right.
Black square of Thaddeus. He
Yeah.
makes black square.
Well, Thaddeus, if you want to come back, we're about to do we're about to give our there we go. Here he's coming
He
back.
was making a point.
My bad, guys. I can't internet tonight.
So what before we lose you,
him,
before we lose you, how many warp cores out of 5 are you giving Picard? Episode 8. Broken
Okay.
Window or whatever the hell it was.
I gave the first episode a 5. I thought it was awesome. Hands down. One of the best episodes of Star Trek that I had ever seen. Granted, it was like the only episode of Star Trek that I had ever seen all the way through. I did see one like back in the 60s. Anyways, I gave that a 5. If I could give this higher than a 5, I actually would. There were so many great storytelling things about this episode that I just loved. I thought the backstory with Rios, it made a lot of sense. I mean, not that it made a lot of sense, but that mysterious past kind of thing, it had been building towards that, and I was like, all right, that's cool. And then it happened. I'm like, whoa, awesome. And the fact that Rafi was the one that got it out of him, who has been this like soulless, out for herself person who I've not necessarily cared for up until this point. I'm like, oh, she has a heart, and it likes helping the guy that I've got a huge man crush on. Loved it.
A helping heart.
Picard. But then, my man crush would be, Rios. But then like the multi-Rioses, the many faces of Rios, that should be what this episode should have been called. The many faces of Rios. I loved every time there was a new Rios that was talking. I thought it was awesome. I still don't necessarily care about Soji. But I will say, I was going to say, I will say that question that she asks the doctor, am I human or what am I to you?
I'm a person. Am I a person?
That was powerful on a number of levels to me. Like, that was a really cool moment. Like, I think there are people out there that aren't people, that are very subhuman based on behavior and whatever. But like that, if someone were to ask me that question, and I didn't like that person, and that was the question they asked me, that's one of those questions and that really makes you think, man, like, what is humanity and what does it mean to be a person and who has value and why and where do my values? Oh man,
42.
Oof.
Big question.
42.
42.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's
Sorry.
Let's go to Mrs. Anthony for her.
Well, no, because he didn't give a score.
Oh, 5.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with that. I really enjoyed this episode, and I have seen every episode of Star Trek, and it still holds up. Like, yes, it was triggering for you, and I'm sorry for that, but we will have an in our house warning. I'll tell you when to look and when not to. It'll be fine. But I loved the story, and I loved the spectacle, and You know what? I loved the conspiracy theorist sleuthing. Like
The
it
Alex
made
Jonesing.
it made so many characters finally have a purpose in the story in my head, and I loved it. And Seven became a Borg queen, and I've wanted that my whole life. Like, I loved this. It was a great episode for me.
All right. Apropos, out of 5 warp cores, what do you give?
You gotta wake him up again.
Yeah, I gotta wake Apropos up again.
I'm awake.
He's counting warp cores in his sleep. That's what he's.
How many warp cores jumped over the fence in your dream there?
Oh, about 42 electric sheep, actually. No, I'm gonna go with like 4.25 on this one. It's got to be the one that I didn't start off enjoying the most, but by the end of it, I'm really interested to see where the story's going now. Like they're finally getting moving, they're finally doing things, and I'm really enjoying it. It's so I'll give it 4.25. It's not full, beautiful, perfect writing, but it's definitely something that I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get down to Neil.
Well, no warp cores, but I will give it a 4 out of 5 as a TV show sci-fi episode. Because now that I'm not thinking of it as Star Trek, I kind of enjoy it more.
So 4 miscellaneous rankings.
Yeah, so 4 out of 5 miscellaneous.
Four miscellaneous.
If I'm not thinking, as long as I'm not thinking of it as Star Trek, I'm just thinking of it as a good sci-fi series, like a spin-off type thing. I'm enjoying it, and the things that pull me out of a Star Trek episode don't pull me out. So I'm not getting pulled out by the crass language or the gore or the violence I'm not getting pulled out of the episode by that anymore because I'm not thinking of it as me watching a Star Trek episode. So so I'm enjoying the story. I'm just not thinking of it as a Star Trek story. I'm thinking of it as something like independent, like Firefly.
Does that change if you were to do that? Sorry to interrupt, Paul, but if you were to do that for the rest of the show, would it change your viewpoint?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, if I have to go back and watch the entire show, but completely remove from my mind thinking about it, right? This isn't stuff. I guess it's just a coping mechanism because if I didn't, I'd just be screaming and going, "It's not Star Trek! It's not Star Trek!" So I want to just move away from, okay, I've accepted in my mind that it is not Star Trek. Can I enjoy it as a standalone science fiction show? And the answer is yes, I can. If I remove the Star Trek expectation from the show. So that's what I'm doing. So that I can enjoy the story and enjoy the characters and enjoy the narrative, I need to remove the Star Trek element from it.
Neil, you've hit exactly on the head here. Out of warp cores, I want to give this a 1 because this is not my Star Trek. This is entirely. I truly do think that it does a disservice to the franchise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, stop thinking of it as Star Trek and enjoy it more.
As a show, I rate it 4. But as Star Trek, indeterminable. I cannot give you a rating. For those that did give a rating, this does end up at a 4.75.
And then for people who want to give it a non-Star Trek science fiction,
non-warp core,
that's a 4 out of 5.
It ends up at a 4 out of 5.
So whether or not you think this is Star Trek, you'll enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you can let go of it having to follow the old Star Trek rules, it isn't a bad show.
It's not about Star Trek rules.
Go
ahead, Neil. You can say it better than I can. You have a French accent.
What I was going to say was I'm not going to, once this season's done, it's not something I would want to watch. So when this season's over, I'm invested in this season. So I'm invested in the story. I'm invested in the narrative. I want to see the end. I've invested my time in this. But once this season's over, I won't have it. Just like Discovery season 2, I won't have any interest in watching Picard beyond this season.
I enjoyed Discovery season 2.
Yeah. See, different. I wish I could be one of those people that just likes it all. I would love to be one of those people, because then everything I watched and everything I invested my time in, I'm going to come away from thinking, yeah, that was I was happy with investing my time. I was happy sitting down in front of the goggle box and watching that. But then we're not all perfect. We don't all like everything. Some things we like, some things we don't like.
Okay, and
I don't like zombies.
She doesn't like
zombies.
Or zombies.
So I'm gonna say this as a social narrative really quick. Ladies and gentlemen, note that we haven't picked out an actor and totally lambasted them online and told them how much they suck and made them go off of the internet. We are not liking something that we grew up watching an extension of. But you know what? We still talk about it and we have good public discourse. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I don't like the Doctor, but the actress plays her fine. I mean, I've got no harm.
Doctor Who's kind of sucked for the last four.
Oh no, I mean the Doctor in the show. I haven't seen Doctor Who.
She sucks now.
That's a different fandom altogether.
Her character sucks now. Her character was great in the beginning, but her character sucks now. Rios, though.
Right.
Rios.
Neil?
Yes.
It's time for the duck. All right, guys. So,
one half of a second.
No, because
you didn't mention that when they go into the wormhole, this is before on the next Picard. A Romulan ship follows them.
I didn't see a Romulan ship following them, but okay.
It did. I saw it too. Christy,
I did as well.
Okay, so coming up on the next Picard, a Romulan ship follows Soji into the wormhole, and they encounter these creatures from Farpoint. It looked like to me. I don't know about you, Apro. Similar to the creatures from encounter at Farpoint, the big space jelly.
I actually didn't see those there.
Yeah. It looked like some flowering creature, and then finally after that, we then see the SS Rios burning up through the atmosphere. Any takeaways or any speculation on that before I let Neil back in?
Oh no!
If Rios dies, I riot.
Yeah, we're gonna lose our holograms.
Seriously.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm more excited for the rest of the season then.
All right.
I think we only have maybe 2 more episodes.
This was 8, so I think there's only 10. I think you're right. Okay, spoiler duck going down.
And potato.
Yeah, and potato.
Potato. I'm telling you, it has to be potato.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so that does it for this week. Any final thoughts on anything else other than what's coming up next, Apro?
I think next time I got to make sure that if I end up calling in sick to work, I get more sleep before the show.
Well, I'll tell you this, if you even have a work to go into, because all these workplaces are closing down, support your streamers if you can. If you're one of those lucky ones that have something
on the side.
On the side, support your streamers if you can, because some of us are really hurting after cancellations of events that we do. Nev, what you got coming up?
We've got Talking Clones over on Going Nerdy.
We do. That's if Thaddeus can stick around.
I'll try. It is my channel. It is my channel.
So I think you need to be there.
I'm wearing my Jedi robes. I don't know if you guys noticed.
Yes.
I did notice you came back with them on. I should wear mine one day.
I was cold in my basement, so
maybe we could get you on a Talking Clones episode coming up in the future, Apro.
Oh, maybe one of these days.
Yeah, after you've had a good nap.
Yes.
Yes. I think at this hour I should probably do more than that, though.
Yes.
All right. And then right here on the Escape Podcast channel, we are on our push to 1,000. Neil and Bringer will donate their hair. Apropos will give away his season 4 Star Trek The Next Generation poster. Mint condition, mind you. Lots of giveaways. We have a lot of other things that coming up to announce this Friday that people are pitching in to make happen. And also go to Krittikae. Look up Krittikae Shirt Designs on Facebook. She's posted her links there for the shirts that she's doing this week. It's absolutely free to vote. And if she wins,
that'll be money to cover all those events.
That'll be money to cover all the events that I can't host. That's $1,000. She gets $1,000. I'm losing $1,000 because of the coronavirus scare. Yeah. It would help us out. Please.
So I'm Krittikae on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Krittikae Shirts on Twitter. And the contest is on woot.com. It's their derby, and every week I have entries in there. It's really fun. It's free to vote, and check them out.
Links in the video description below.
Yep. And also you can click on that to go to our Discord channel, and on our Discord channel, which is right above. You can see the Mrs. Anthony shirts as well.
Easy to follow links.
Easy to follow links to just go vote. All right, Thaddeus, we're going to be coming over to you next. What do you got coming up other than Talking Clones on your channel?
Other than Talking Clones, I have so much stuff in the works that I just need to shoot and edit. But one thing, and this is an idea that I got off of your channel there, Paul. When you did Paul and Nev on the Escape Pod cast, when you guys talked about doing a Jawa team against like a fully Relic Zeta 7-star whatever Jawa team, I got one of those, and I'm gonna mod them out. And I'm gonna see what teams they do and do not go well against. And I can tell you this: they're probably gonna get eaten by the Rancor.
Well, we have. You're making me choke here. We have Run DMV, our personal friend who helped create your previous video.
Yes.
He's the one who recommended Relic Jawas. We love. There he is. He's actually right. He's in the chat right now. Junior Darth. He wants to get a red shirt with Jawas on it. Can
you tell me what you want? I'll draw it.
There you go, Junior. We will create a red shirt with Jawas on it somehow, some way. But
I take requests.
But Junior Darth, he also known as Run DMV, he will. He's the one who helped you with your last video, gave you the top 10 for that, and also challenged you to do the Jawas. Now I know why you're in the Jedi robes. But we'll hear more coming up in about, give us 10 minutes to reset here. Coming up on Going Nerdy's channel. So 10:30 Central, 9:30 Thaddeus time.
Mountain
time. I knew that. I just like calling it Thaddeus time because you're like the only
person who lives in that time zone.
You know what? I've been petitioning the government to call it Thaddeus time. The governor has not responded to my calls. In fact, there's a restraining order because of it. I think it's you
need to write your senator now.
Yeah. Well.
So I thought Thaddeus time was just about 10 minutes behind everybody else.
Pretty close to it. Pretty close to it.
That's called Mormon Standard Time.
It's pretty close.
Really close.
Yeah. It's there. They're right there. So.
All right, guys.
I've been a Mormon my whole life, and I am on time.
I'm never on time. That's because I got married.
I have 3 kids. I blame it on them.
I also blame it on my children.
That's what people have kids for.
And Neil is prim and proper and is always there when you need him on time.
Of course, that's my ex-Starfleet. Sorry, that's my ex-military training, teaching me to be as punctual as possible.
Interesting,
right, guys.
The anarchist is the one that's on time.
We will see you guys over on Going Nerdy's channel. We'll post that in the listener lounge. Ladies and gentlemen, be nice to each other. Damn it. Wash your damn hands.
Stay home if you can.
Stay home and remember to smile.
Stay nerdy.
Peace and long life.
Push the button.
You got it, mate. Ta-ta for now, folks.